Steve, a busy week, both on and off the pitch. A few things we want to discuss. Firstly, I don't know if you want to draw a line under the events at Wickham last week. I know the Wickham manager's put his points of view across. What are your thoughts?
Well, he has put his points of view across, hasn't he? Don't stop talking about last week. Um, my knowledge of it, as our media department made me aware this morning, is that Matty Bloomfield had said, me in particular, but no one at Stevenage Football Club had inquired about the welfare of young Brandon Hanlon and Luke Lee, the two lads that come off injured, one with a knee injury and one with a head knock. But what young Matty wants to do is take some advice from his older generation and speak to his players rather than do the media channels. Because I spoke to Brandon Hanlon via WhatsApp and Luke Lee via WhatsApp earlier this week, both to inquire about the welfare, particularly Luke because he went down with a head knock, and of course Brandon, who played for me. Both are great lads, and the conversation went along the lines of it that concluded by both those lads wishing us at Stevenage Football Club every success, particularly Luke, whose words were even more gracious. He could not believe the side that we've built here at Stevenage and wished us well, and I know Brandon did as well. So I'll draw a line under this now. Matty, speak to your players, not just your chairman and the media. The media don't count trying to win games. You were outfought, outplayed, and we got 3 points. End of the story about Wickham.
Okay. Rotherham. I know we touched on it the other day, but your name's been heavily involved. Is there any update on that?
No, there is no update. I'm very honoured even to be linked by it, because everyone knows my affinity and my relationship with the family that own the club. Tony Stewart and his son Richard and the rest of the board. They're really good people. But I think I've made it absolutely clear I've got a job to do at Stevenage Football Club. I was entrusted by Phil Wallace to come in to keep us up and then start a project. And alongside the chairman and supported by the board and Leon and players and staff, then that's what we're testament to try and do. That situation doesn't change for me. I think I just got on with the job. And the sole and only focus is Lincoln City tomorrow. And that's where we'll keep a focus. I've got no thoughts towards Rotherham. And who's in next week, Rotherham against Leeds. What a game. And I'll be watching from on the TV like everyone else will. But from a distance, we've just got to focus on, we have big games coming up. We've got Lincoln City here and we have a long journey up to the West Coast, Northwest to play for Leekwood. That's the only thoughts in our heads.
You say you're kind of honoured with being linked and that sort of thing. Is it a distraction? Is it is it an annoyance to you that you're linked?
No, you just don't take the calls from the journalists that you don't hear from for 2 years, 3 years. No, there is no distraction for me. I think if you're a young player and he got the media attention about perhaps moving, and you're 20-year-old or 21-year-old sitting in that dressing room. I'm a very experienced manager. I've managed successfully in the Championship, very successfully at Rotherham. Proud of where we managed almost in every situation. So you don't get flattered, I think it's just recognition of the job that's been done. 18 months ago, this club was heading to the National League without any shadow of a doubt. We regrouped the players because there was good enough players not to be heading in that direction. And then the chairman asked me to work on a plan with him and develop a plan with Leon that would see that we could be successful. And I think it's fair to say that our success is unmeasured in English football, unmeasured across the levels. So that's where the media will draw inference that Steve Evans might interest Rotherham.
Matters on the pitch. Obviously, 2 wins, 2 very different sides, 2 very different ways of playing as well, but 2 very good results.
Yeah, listen, I think often what gets missed here is the credit the dressing room deserves, the players. We've been without huge players all season, 4s and 5s and 6s at a time. I think we're down to probably a couple now. But we've been missing some really, really big players, but through all that adversity, then through that missing of that quality, if you like, we've been able to put players on the pitch that have rose, stepped up, produced performances and win football matches. And we have to consistently do it, because I think it's only a few weeks ago we were 4th in the table, and I was reminding our players, if they had gone back 12 months to the day, I think Cambridge United were in almost an identical position, but had to play on the last day to survive in League One. So it's football is very rewarding for everyone. who has success in it, but it's also it also smashes you with like a hammer on a head of a nail when it goes against you. So you have to stay focused, meet the challenges, stay positive, especially in today's football with young men and how they adapt to every situation and how mentally they are prepared. Then without a shadow of a doubt, that dressing room through there deserves the most success.
We've often spoken about the size of the squad and the strength of the squad and that sort of thing. It must be really nice when you can bring some youth in and some young blood and give them a chance of first team football.
Yeah, I think every manager, every coach, every chairman would love the position where you're in, where you can put players of the ages of 17 and 16 and in our case 15 onto the pitch. But the one thing I've always said, it doesn't matter whether they're that age or 27, they only go onto the pitch if they're deemed to be able to play at the level or get experience towards playing at the level. And we were able to do that all night with young McKees, we young Hicksy and young Max, you know. So from our point of view, it's great pride, but that's just a very, very early stage of what can be there for those kids if they mature and develop and become good enough to play at the level on a consistent basis.
I know some of them are out on loan. Are they developing as you'd expect them to, or you'd want them to?
Yeah, I think the difficulty we've had in the last 6 months, 9 months, and I think parents will be aware of it, the more success you have as a first team, the bar gets lifted in terms of the levels and where you are. And I think it's, if I could use one of my previous clubs, if you're Leeds United under Marcello when they went to the Premier League, the bar suddenly lifted. And the players who were just extraordinary in the Championship were found wanting when they went to the Premier League because the bar gets lifted at first team level. So when we go from a team that's in the bottom 3, bottom 4 of League Two consistently for 3 or 4 seasons, and then suddenly you're a team trying to break into the top 6 in League One, the bar to come up and join that group and train with that group and be accepted in that group gets higher. So the standard of the kids coming through they need to have a standard that says it's higher. So the levels down at the academy are now stretching, but we've got some great coaches down there who will stretch with it and adapt, and as we can see with young Max.
Tomorrow, obviously, Lincoln City coming to town. A new manager there. It's a bit of an unusual situation. We don't tend to play clubs that often with a new manager. What do you know about him?
I don't know a lot about him. I know he's had obviously you do your homework. I've watched Leeds United 21s, 23s, closed door games many times, and he's been the head coach taking the teams. They play a real good, attractive brand of football. I think he'll suit the chairman and the supporters at Lincoln and how they want to play. He'll develop it on from the previous management teams that's been there over the last 2 or 3 seasons. So it'll be a big test for us tomorrow. You know, if we've done a comparison as to from the start of the season how many games win, lost or draw and how many goals are scored against, I think we're only a couple of points differential between everything we've achieved, or even a couple of goals, so that the teams are fairly level in doing it in different ways. But it'll be a test for us. It'll be a noisy Lincoln City travelling supporters, it always is. They get right behind the team. But our supporters have really helped us in recent weeks, and we're going to need them to turn out and be right behind us tomorrow. We have a opportunity with Peterborough not playing. I think Darren's going to be at our game, I would like to believe, but with Porsche not playing, we get the opportunity to even lead them. So that's a staggering statistic, being above Peterborough United in League One at this stage of the season. But we're not there yet. We have to earn it, and we understand that 1 or 2 slight below is the games in hand. But as it proved last midweek, it's difficult for those teams to win.
How's your squad looking? There's obviously games thick and fast recently, but there's 1 or 2 players that have perhaps not we haven't seen too much over the last month or so.
Yeah, listen, I think there's been circumstances why 1 or 2, like young Charlotte McNeil had already played for Manchester United in what is now the Bristol Street competition. I want to get that right for the sake of the sponsors, but taken over from Papa John's. So from that point of view, it's he would have played, obviously, they've got 90 minutes, and so young Charlie's not featured. But we've only got, as far as I know at the minute, we only have Dan Sweeney and young Harry Anderson not available. And Harry Anderson is now trained for a full week with no after effects. So we're trying desperately to get a midweek closed door training ground game for Harry to be involved in. And as he proved when he came on at Exeter in the Carabao Cup earlier in the season, he's got some real quality. So we need Harry back in the group. Dan Sweeney's up to 90% running, so I'm sure within a week or two Dan Sweeney will be back challenging. And as I have banter with him every day, I'm saying, so who am I going to leave out? Am I going to leave out Van Kooten? Am I leaving out Thompson? Am I leaving out Piergiani? Am I leaving out Wilden? And the big man just keeps looking at my door and says, okay, you leave it, I'll be getting in. And so he's been a big blow losing him, but before that we'd Van Kooten out, with Nathan Thompson out. So from that point of view, it's competition for places needs to be at the highest level, especially as we go forward towards the Christmas period.
Must have been a difficult time for Harry Anderson, and probably a bit of disappointment that he's not going to feature against a club that he's featured so prominently for in the past.
Yeah, I think the kid's had all the emotions, hasn't he? You know, you have one little injury, then it triggers something else in your body and little niggles. But this is the first time where his surgeon told us 10 days ago he's good to go now. There is no more, good to go. And the kid's going out pain free, trained every day, coming in with a smile on his face. We see on the training ground what great quality he's got. But there's been some down days for Harry, and that's when he needs the gaffer. And it doesn't become the gaffer anymore, it becomes Steve. He needs Steve, he needs Paul, he needs Alex to be there with him. And we've been there every step of the journey with him. But we know when he pulls that shirt on in these starting games, we've got one hell of a player to come in. He will be a terrific signing. It's like when Dan Sweeney comes back, there'll be huge signings at the end of November that we're thinking, wow, we wish we'd had them all the way through.
And it's one of those weekends where a lot of teams aren't playing. It's a chance just to pull away and just make that gap a bit bigger.
Yeah, and if we're being quite frank, we've not always took advantage of those situations. We've been playing when others have had players away in international duty. I'm not so sure where they're going into national duty, but a lot of these teams are missing games because of it. It's a good time to take advantage of it, but Lincoln City will be thinking the same. New manager, he'll be coming in hoping to get add-on to a point they got against Port Vale last week. I think he watched it and took command of the game, should have won the game. Port Vale got a goal and then continued with backs to the wall, but Lincoln got a very late equaliser. So from our point of view, we've just got to put our style of play into action. There's no doubt our bench will be as strong as it is, and I always look at the bench before a starting 11. And our bench tomorrow will be really hard to select given the quality of performances that we've seen from 7 or 8 players that's not been starting games in the week.